But all that discussion that we've had to this point has been about get into the things that you love and go after them. One, set a priority around your writing and do it. Plan to give it time, give it time. Write with no excuses. And if you're stuck, just write something you like, whatever it is. Write something you don't like. Describe your keyboard. And once you shake it loose, it's just like clearing the gutter. Your story will be there.
Hello, folks, and welcome to Author Adjacent, a show about the journey from hobbyist writer to professional author. I'm your host, Michael Vadney, and today I'm sitting with returning guest E.L. Montague, author of many books, including the latest, The Incident at the Peeling Head. Welcome back to the show, Edward.
Thank you for having me. It was a good time, so let's do it again. I think we're on topic today.
Yes, last time we were talking about really just anything we felt like talking about. We got a little bit into your journey, a lot into your writing and the various themes that are repeating throughout your stories. But this time we are focusing on writing resilience, talking about really the things that a lot of writers deal with, because you seem to be very resilient, very headstrong, and very dedicated to what you write and how consistently that you write. And I was kind of curious as to what your secrets are for this. So the first thing that I wanted to ask is, how do you maintain your consistent writing schedule, and what strategies help you stay that way?
Not really a secret, and not really a strategy either. It's consistency. It's discipline. You write in the same way that you would do anything else that you intend to get done. If you go out for a run, if you play basketball, if you read regularly, um, you set aside time to do it and you do it. I also am somebody who writes throughout the day in bursts. So I have a time that I look forward to, which is early evening, is when I do the bulk of my writing. It's after work. It's kind of before dinner. I tend to write in that window, and I just make it a habit. It's what I do after I clock off in the evening. Open up my. I don't open my file. It sits open all the time. But I go to the book and start writing. Um, and I use a period of time for writing 7 days a week. There are no breaks. Now, I don't always write. Sometimes I edit. Sometimes I record the next book, because I do my own audiobooks. And that's totally because I'm cheap.
I gotta pause you there for a second. You do your own audiobooks? That was you when I was listening to The Peeling Head?
Oh, yeah, that's me.
This is a talent I had no idea that you had.
Um, I do it on this microphone,
Wow.
uh, on this computer, sitting in this chair. I do have a little sound box that I put up. It's basically a styrofoam box that blocks sound, so I don't
Yeah.
pick extra sounds. And I do it with the Audacity, the free Audacity off the internet.
Wow.
Mm.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you. I was just completely shocked by that. Uh, I am very much an audiobook guy. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I've listened to a lot of great ones.
All of my books are in audiobook because I listen to audiobooks.
Yes. Oh my God. Wow. Sorry. That is just, I had no idea that was you. That's amazing. All right.
You know what? I am thrilled you think I paid for that.
that was
I'm
the
always worried that
that was
people
the
are going to pick up
experience.
my audiobooks and go, "Oh, this guy." But
No,
no, that's me.
I thought you did a great job. But sorry, I interrupted you. Please continue.
No,
I
no,
know
no, by all means.
you knocked you.
The point though is that I take a time every day that I tell stories. Um, I try to keep. I try to write every day, and I try to create new material every day. But I always do something as an author, which can include write, edit, revise, do the audiobook. Um, and part of doing the audiobook is I do the production and everything. It's one of the things that happens as an indie is you pick up many hats, and um, so I do that stuff. And very occasionally, the time is spent working with my artists. And that's just because, we'll get together, we'll have a conversation, we'll share ideas. It's still writerly, but but it's only me. I have to come up with the time somewhere. And usually speaking, when I'm working with an artist, it's eating into my writing time. But since I get such cool art, I love it.
Yeah, it's 100% worth it. Like
It's
that,
100%
they're
worth it.
all things that are still feeding into creating the books.
Now, one of the things you may not have seen with Incident Peeling Head, because you got the Audible cover. I don't know if you saw all of the stuff, but that's a bigger picture. And I got a portrait of Mike. So Mike from the Peeling Head, I put it in the book, but I also have that picture. And then I got character art for 12 characters. Uh, so for those of you who think, hey, I thought that was a novella, I proliferate characters. I am not bashful about adding a new name. So if you read what I write, you'll see lots. And I write big worlds, big complex worlds. There's lots of people, lots of names. Nobody does everything all themselves. So yeah,
No, I've seen some of the art for it. Like I've seen the art of Mike Molman of the Peeling Head. I
right.
believe Mike has a copy of that in
Yeah,
his
yeah.
book.
I one of the things I did for using him is I sent him a picture of his portrait.
Nice. He deserves it. God, that he is
Got
such
it
a
framed
badass.
for him, signed it, and
Oh,
sent it
nice.
off to him.
That's perfect. Uh, but circling back on what we're talking about today,
Yep.
uh, so you talk about like the consistency and everything that you're doing here. Do you ever run into a time where it's just, man, it is really hard to get into the mojo today?
Always. I mean, that's a very normal. Sitting down to a blank page is terrifying. You sit down, you're like, I don't know what to do. Sometimes, and if you do a good job of the story that you're telling, you've got so much story that you didn't get onto the page that you can sit down and with a little bit of refresher, you can pick it up. But every now and then you get to a point where you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. Um, Sometimes, and lots of the advice that you'll get out there will say it's because you made a mistake and you need to figure out the reason you can't think of the next thing to do is because you've boxed yourself in and you need to go think about it. That's sometimes that's true, but that's horse crap. Um, the truth is, you may not know what the next thing that you want to write in just because it's not what you're feeling at the moment. Um, I have the comfort that I've got many storylines. I've got a ton of stories going, so I can write something, and that's one of my secrets is that if I can't write what I'm writing right now, I write something else. I don't not write. Um, and you've heard me say to other people, maybe you haven't, but I've given this answer before. Um, Everybody has the thing that they like. There's something that's uniquely you that got you into it in the first place, and you can go back and relive it anytime you want. Um, for some people, that's cars. For some people, it's spaceships. It's monsters. It's deep and dreary places. It's boobs. Whatever fascinates you. If you're stuck, just go do that. Seriously, whatever it is that's interesting. If you like big toes, go write about a big toe for a little bit. Because what you'll discover, or at least what I discover, is that if you can get the fountain going, the words you want are there. Sometimes you sit down and you don't know what's next, and you want to get lost in that. Don't get lost. Just start writing. Describe the pencil in your pencil holder. Describe a paintbrush. Talk about the last book. Tell a story. Talk about your ex girlfriend. Um, tell a campfire story. Try and tell a joke. Jokes are awesome. If you can, uh, if you can tell a joke, you can tell a story because a joke has all the hallmarks of the longest novel simplified and compressed. I mean, the essence of a joke is a surprising answer. All jokes are twists. And essentially, what you have to do is you create You build the world of the joke. You create the characters, you set the conflict, you give us the rules of the game, and then you give us a surprising outcome. You lead us down a path and say, you know, like one of my dad's favorite jokes when I was a kid is he said, "Let me tell you a dirty joke." And I go, "Okay, tell me a dirty joke." And he'd go, "Six white horses fell in the mud." I'm like, "Oh God, Dad, shut up." You know, but it's an old one, and it's but again, think about that joke. It's the whole world of a story. Let me tell you a dirty joke. Set your frame of reference. Um, Six white horses. There's something very clean. They fell in the mud. They're dirty. So they followed the rules of the joke, but in a few simple words, I painted a picture for you so that you were expecting something dirty, and then I gave you characters, six white horses, and then I gave them their problem. I resolved it. You now have your punchline, and that's a very short thing, um, and then of course longer form jokes, better jokes, jokes that actually work. My father would be very upset with me for saying that joke doesn't work, but it works once on a 5 year old, and that's about it. Um, but it opens the door to storytelling, and everybody loves to tell jokes. Everybody loves to be funny. So I think those are awesome. And if all you can do is tell dirty limericks, start writing them down. Talk about your world. Everybody loves their world. If you are a fantasy writer, we all know you've got world building disease. You do, because you started a fantasy. You started your predicate with, I'm going to write about a whole nother world that exists nowhere but my mind. That's a God complex. I will create the world. The magic system is mine. My magic's different than your magic because my magic is better. You
My
know,
wizards are called this. Yeah.
yeah, and those guys that put too many rules or not enough rules or you know, really everybody works with their left foot, whatever. You had the audacity to dream up a world that's nothing but yours. And even if it has nothing to do with your story, time spent in your world is good writing because it creates that richness so that when you're telling your story, your world has depth. Now, I would not encourage anybody to go down the path of describing the entire globe to the nth degree and never tell your story.
No.
That's stupid.
Yeah.
But if you get to the page on day one and you don't know what to tell next, start talking about something that you find wonderful in your world.
That's a good way to keep going. Like, really, for a lot of people, the hardest thing when they hit that moment is just starting.
Yeah,
But once you start, things come out. Things keep coming. Like, you just got to find
absolutely.
one string to pull, and that will pull more and more story out for you.
Yeah, it's like leaves in a gutter. The
Oh,
water won't flow until you knock a few leaves out, and then all of a sudden it starts flowing and your gutters are clean.
yeah.
Same thing with writing a story. Just, number one problem for writer's block is that you think you have to answer the question that's put in front of you right then.
Yeah.
You
So
don't.
then how do you balance like productivity without risking the creative burnout? Is that something you accomplish because you have so many different projects and different, forgive the cheesy pun here, things that are adjacent to being an author to do
Yeah.
for your projects?
Well, so I've got a lot of different worlds that I can spend time with, so I don't get too burned out on any one thing. But there's another truth. I have no illusion, none, that I'm a genius. I'm not. You know, I like to spin a yarn. I hope a few people enjoy it. I know there are people who hate everything I write. As a matter of fact, I tell you what, all you haters out there, buy my book, read it, hate all over it. Just buy the next book too. Um,
Good
and
attitude. I love that.
you know, anybody that I can get into a story, hate is a wonderful thing. Hate is exactly it. Hate is the other side of the coin for love. You cannot hate someone you don't care about.
Yeah.
So if
Wow.
you hate my writing, awesome. I have hooked you. I am in your skin. I created a world in your mind that causes you to loathe everything around you. I control you because I am God. I mean,
This is
it's
fantastic stuff.
it's wonderful. I love honest feedback. You
Yeah,
know, it was good. I enjoyed it. I am in love with so and so, or you are an absolute bastard, or great reviews.
yeah,
I mean, because that means that I got into you enough that you care.
yeah. Like
So,
I remember, like I said a little bit about this in the last episode, like reading through the Peeling Head and how much it reminded me of like R-rated Firefly and stuff like
oh
that.
yeah,
And something that I've known about myself as a reader is like I am squeamish with like sexual assault and stuff like that in stories. But I remember I was talking to Brent Weeks. Actually, he started replying to a thread that I was talking to someone else about on X. And I was like, "Holy
right.
shit, Brent Weeks is here!" And we were talking about how he has sexual assault in some of his stories, especially with the Night Angel. And he was like, "Yeah, because these things happen to real people, and I wanted to explore how real people deal with this stuff." And I thought of that, actually, that conversation, while I was reading your story, because it does deal with like very real,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
last time, visceral things that will make you feel uncomfortable, and some people are not okay with that. And that's something I'm trying to get used to as a reader, is reading
So
things that make me feel uncomfortable.
in that world, so just making you uncomfortable, you realize one of the central tenets of the near Earth world is that it's actually the law that you have to have a prostitute on board for any ship, for any travel over 6 months, because we discovered that if you don't, people go crazy and they kill each other. There has to be a companion on board so that effectively the incel, but the people, there's a place to put that, which means androids are sex slaves. Now, they're also robots that were created, androids that were created for a purpose, and so for them, it's just the world. And one of the things that I explore, because part of what's going on in the near Earth world is it's right at the point of actualization. So we're within a generation of androids discovering self, and inside the android world, there's a break between um, robots. They're just dumb machines. They're just metal, plastic, organics, whatever. And androids, which actually have thought, except androids, the part, and actually this is what caused actualization, trying to make android prostitutes real enough to be to have a good companion relationship, gave them enough processing power that they actualized. So it was actually the prostitutes that actualized, and then all of the android society came out of that. But that also means that at their core level, there's a part of them, that's what they do. That's like their essential being. They look at us and, God, you made us to fill this part of your life. Why would you look down on us for being your creation?
Yeah.
Don't look down on us, look down on you. You did it. You know,
This is your fault.
this is your fault. But you
Yeah.
say that it really bothers you that there's sexual assault in there. You can't
Well,
talk about prostitution without that being in the cards. And
yeah,
I would actually argue, and it's not, and I'm not trying to sit here and make you uncomfortable since you said that,
that's fine.
but um,
I
I I think that part of the conversation that has to happen as a people, this is us, real world. We have to have the conversation that inside there's really obvious sexual assault. I mean, that's evil. And then there's perfectly glowy, happy, light kiss, children's story sex on the other end. And in the middle, there's this great big mess. And one of the things that is true is there's two people involved, and this person can feel assaulted and that person can feel like they didn't do anything wrong. It's tell a 14-year-old boy that pushing for a kiss is assault. That's all 14-year-old boys do. I mean, they wake up in the morning, they're like, maybe she'll kiss me. If I do this, will she kiss me? If I do this, will she kiss me? If I take her out, if I buy that, if I do this, if I jump off a bridge, if I let that guy punch me in the face, does that get me anywhere? And it's kind of horrible. I mean, if you get into the teenage boy brain, we're idiots. We're big dumb animals with barely any control of ourselves or our hormones or our bodies. And then you get into the mindset on the other side. It's like, I'm being assaulted, I'm being attacked, I'm being pressured, I'm being pushed. And in normal human relationships, when one side is push, 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 and the other side is, what do I have to give? What do I have to give? There's going to come a point where he's an asshole and she gave up, or vice versa, and somebody can feel wronged. And there's a lot of gray area in there. Um, and I think we're very black and white right now, which is good in one regard because we want to curtail that. We want to get rid of it. But the stuff that they do at some universities and stuff, everybody has to approve everything and sign a contract, and the jokey stuff that ends out in skits. It's all there because it's real. I mean, the reason the skit works is there's a shred of truth in it. Um, you got to be able to find a middle ground, and you got to be able to talk about it. And if you can't show it, nobody can think about it.
And that was kind of Brent Week's point, was just like, you have to be able to have like open and honest conversations about these things. If you're coming at it from a place of like trying to be sympathetic, trying to be understanding, trying to learn and understand in order to be sympathetic to people and to be better.
So now, we're way off topic of the theme for
We
the day, but
totally are.
I'm terrible about that.
We'll
But
circle back at some point.
we will get there. I promise. We'll go back. We'll talk about being successful. Something that you have to be willing to do, or I have to be willing to do. You don't have to tell stories like I do, but I talk about bad people. As a matter of fact, most of my heroes are kind of awful. The book that you read of mine, so Incident at the Peeling Head, our hero, who I hope you liked. You got to know Melissa. You thought she was really great. Um, you wanted to see them succeed. The only innocent person in the entire story was Maddie. So Captain Stone is a smuggler and a crook and a rebel who betrayed her friends, stole their secrets, gave them away so that she didn't live up to her end of the contract, even though it was with a bad guy, then had to go back, got her friend killed a bunch of other people, came all the way back, put everybody in danger. And throughout that course, she told us that she wasn't faithful. Not a good person. But part of being able to be a good storyteller is that I have to be able to create empathy for the evildoer. Um, and like under one of my other pen names, I write a serial killer, and he's bad. I mean, just bad. It's actually uncomfortable writing him because I have to spend time in the mind of not a nice guy. He has bad thoughts. He's not good. But I have to create a situation where you can feel for him and feel for the women that fall for him because you understand. You're like, yeah, that part of him is really great. Just he's a little stabby. I mean, he's a really nice guy until he cuts your head. It's, and so if you're going to be able to tell those kinds of stories, you have to have empathy for the characters that are doing it. Somebody once told me you have to love your villains as much as your protagonist, um, or else they don't feel real. Even when you write the like ultimate evil guy, Darth Vader before he became dad, and Scar and all those guys, they can still be pure evil and deserve empathy. because you can't feel for them. You know, it's the love hate thing. My 1-star review, you know, you can't hate your villain if you don't understand him. And that's actually, so there's a storytelling trick. You really want to make somebody bad, you have to make your reader see themselves in the evil. You have to hold a mirror up and say, you are a bad person. And then they can hate the villain.
Man,
I love doing that crap.
you're dropping some bombs in this episode. I wasn't
Anyway,
ready.
no, 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 we can keep going. But I love doing that stuff. And that's the trick is when you start figuring out the things that work, you start realizing stuff like this. You know, so my guy's not bad enough. Might not be because he hasn't kicked a puppy hard enough. It might be because you haven't made him understandable enough that as a reader you can look into the eyes of evil and go, dude, I'm in there. The scariest villains are people that you understand. Thanos, he wanted to wipe out half of humanity, and he was right. I mean, he was wrong and evil, but when he said he had a goal, he was going after it. You knew what he was doing, and you couldn't fight his argument because he was right. You know, like, did you have
Yeah.
you seen the movie Sicario?
No, that's the one where
The ultra violent
big
border
gangs and
war
stuff.
thing with
Yeah,
Emily Blunt plays. Have you seen it?
I have not. I've heard about it, but I have not seen it.
So I'm going to ruin a little bit for you, but it's not a spoiler because lots of people have said it. But
Okay.
when you eventually see it, because it is one of the great movies of all time,
Really?
one
Okay.
of the greats,
I gotta up it on my list then.
the tension building from the 0 minute to I think it's like 38 minutes in. And so from the opening scene to the Juarez border crossing, whatever that length of time, is a masterclass in tension. And they invest, it might be an hour in. I think it's only a little bit more than a half an hour, but the whole time, every scene from the opening scene until the border crossing is one scene. It's all feeding the event. Masterclass in storytelling. But here's where I'm going to get you. Just a little tidbit. Watch it, get your own feelings, have the whole thing into yourself. But Emily Blunt's character was the bad guy. She was the evil one. Or not the evil is wrong. She was wrong. Everybody else in the story was doing what they were supposed to be doing. The conflict, the reason the whole thing exploded is that she was a part of the story.
Mm. Okay, I'm gonna have to check out this movie and
Oh, you
keep that
totally got to
in
watch it.
mind.
Sicario, the first one, for anybody that's taking my advice on this one, it's an ultra violent, not very comfortable. There's dead bodies in the wall on page one movie, but it's a masterwork.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'll definitely have to check that out. All right.
Don't watch with your children
I don't have any, so they're safe.
or anybody in your life that has an attitude of a child.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, good point.
Anyway, I'm sorry if you got the rattle. My dogs sit in my office with me
Oh, no worries.
when
I
I'm
love
when I'm in session. So are they. So I've got Clyde is asleep right here, and Bonnie
nice.
is over here. And yes, I did name my dogs Bonnie and Clyde.
I think that says everything that we need to know about you. Really, let's
No,
wrap up
I'm
the
sorry. I'm
interview
shaking
here.
my screen with my leg there.
Oh,
Okay.
you're fine.
So we're talking about resilience. But all that discussion that we've had to this point has been about get into the things that you love and go after them. You know, one, set a priority around your writing and do it. Plan to give it time, give it time. Write with no excuses. And if you're stuck, just write something you like, whatever it is. Write something you don't like. Describe your keyboard. Um, and once you shake it loose, it's just like clearing the gutter. Your story will be there. Because so there's two things that happen. You write something that you really enjoy writing, and you practice your craft. You develop something that you get to enjoy, and maybe you can use it later. You write something you don't like, you shake loose the cobwebs, you're now writing, and your mind will automatically go to the thing that you need to be telling.
Man, so you touched on this a little bit, but so then goal setting is pretty important for staying focused and staying committed, along with like all of this switching.
Yeah, realistic goals.
Yes.
You
Ooh,
can't if you've never written a 400,000 word epic, saying I'm going to write a 400,000 word epic is just crazy. But you can set goals like I'm going to write this chapter, I'm going to write this scene, I'm going to get to this event. Those are all very achievable, and those are the things that keep you going day to day. Nobody eats an elephant all at once. I mean, I'm going back to cliches. Um, you do it a bite at a time. You log the forest one tree at a time. You till the soil one rock at a time. You build a wall one. That so there's an analogy in there that you can hold. There's two things that you can see if you go to Europe. Go to England. Let's go to England. Let's talk England. English countryside is gorgeous, totally manufactured for thousands of years. What you see in the English countryside is not the English countryside. What you see in the English countryside is what man has done with 4,000 years of time to do it. Um, and it's beautiful. It's scenic. It's what we all would love to have in our backyard. But you'll go out there and you'll see these hedgerows, and you'll see stone walls. Do you know how the stone walls are made? Have always been made. They're made everywhere you see them. You know how the stone walls are made? A farmer tills a field, and he tills up a rock, and he picks up the rock, and he takes it to the edge of the field, and he sets it down. And then he knocks up another big rock, and he picks it up, and he takes it over. And heaving causes the fact that every year there's new big stones at the top of the surface. And one of the jobs that a farmer does is he picks the stones out of his freshly tilled field so it's not in the way of his farming equipment or his plants, and he carries them to the edge of the field. Well, if you just start stacking them in a row and you do that for 100 years, you have a nice thick wall. And so they've got all these gorgeous stone walls that were not, there was no big project. Everybody in the village come over and build the wall. Farmer, Farmer Michael plucked a stone out of his garden, carried it over to the edge, and then when he wasn't tilling the field, he set it into a wall. And there's fresh stones every single year, every time they cut it. And the hedgerows, they stuck plants along the so you build a stone wall, and then you put because it's a stone wall, you don't run your equipment next to it, so you don't knock over the trees there. So the trees become trees, but you don't want the big trees growing, so you clip them and cut them and you tie them together so that they become a boundary for your sheep. You have a hedgerow with a wall. And so if you just do that year over year, and one of the things that you discover is if you cut the hedgerow into a hedgerow, it lengthens the life of the plant and it keeps it down and it grows all together. And you get this solid wooden wall that's alive, that's full of animals and full of birds and full of flowers, and it fills with fruit, and it's better for everybody and it's beautiful. But it's done one tree at a time, just trimming and cutting and laying over. And it's something you do over time. And that's what your writing is. You tell one little scene, you write one little paragraph, you come up with one cool phrase, you make one little decision after another, and when you stack them all together enough, you have a book.
it reminds me of something I was talking with Alex Giguere about. It's like you underestimate what you can do, or no, you overestimate what you can do in a day and underestimate what you can do in a year.
100% true. 100% true. And that's true in all aspects of your life. It's like
Oh, yeah,
if you invest, coming up with an idea to make $1 million, almost impossible. Sticking away $20 a month or $20 a pay period for 40 years, not hard at all. And you'll be a millionaire.
yeah. That's one of the things I love about writing. Like, there's so much from it that you can take and just apply to life. Like about like dedication and
That's what stories are
discipline and
for.
patience. Hmm?
That's what stories are for.
Yes, yes,
The whole point of telling a story is to share something about life and, you know, take a little piece of yourself, put it out there in the world and hope it propagates.
yeah, yeah. One of my favorite things about stories is They tell us about like who we are now and who we want to be and like the space between.
And it's also an excellent place to think through challenges, problems. We were talking earlier about assault. You know what you can do on a page? Anything. What you can talk about? Everything. Consequences. Nobody goes to jail for having a thought. You cannot prison somebody's mind. Well, we're going to try, but hopefully we don't. In stories, you can explore everything, anything, top to bottom, good, bad, and ugly, and think through the outcomes. And hopefully, through stories, we avoid realities and maybe discover some that would be great. I spent a lot of time with evil people, so hopefully none of my writing becomes reality. But the good stuff, the good stuff. By the way, go back to Alex's, say his name, because I was one of the people that guessed it. I had said it was Giguere,
It
but
is J. Alex Giguere.
Giguere.
Yes.
I would never have gotten there.
I had no idea. Him and I were talking, and I like before I do all these interviews, I did it with you. I always ask, like, "Hey, am I saying your name right?" And I was not even close.
I was just it looks like a fancy French name, so I just went
Yep.
with Giguere. Or
It's
I could even believe Giguere, but just weird.
yeah.
Anyway,
I wasn't ready.
name his book. I know it was the last time, but since we were
Uh,
touting his name around, we probably ought to hold it up and say,
yeah, I got one right
this is
here.
the guy
Actually,
we're
it's
talking
right
about.
big.
All right. He
Yeah.
was an interesting cat, but I missed the part where he said how to say his name.
Ah,
Okay.
no worries. That's the first few minutes. But yeah, very interesting fella. Man, we just keep dropping bombs in this episode. Like, there's a lot of great things. Uh, so we were talking about goals. Something I did actually want to ask you is, have you ever, especially in like your most recent iteration of your career, have
Mhm.
you ran into a massive creative slump, and how did you get out of it?
So I've run into places where I didn't really feel like I had anything to say. I just go back to the things I like. I mean that's what I'm talking about when I say one, I keep a lot of stories going so that there's lots of fodder. Um, but two, I go back to the thing that you enjoy, and you can tell the same story again and again. I mean, the New York City comedy circuit, I'm going back to comics for you now. They start in Kansas City and Baton Rouge and all the rest of that so they can work out their stories. Retell your stories. Go back and retell the thing. Look at things that you've already published and see if you could have done a better job of it. That's the other thing is, if you don't feel like writing something new, you can always edit. You can always revise. You can go back to that scene that just makes you feel happy. Something that really does work is go back to a scene that affects you and reread it and go, yeah, I can do that. I actually have a couple of scenes that I've written that I do not like, but I do not like them because they make me uncomfortable. I read them and I'm like, ugh, God, I wrote that. That's ugh, I don't like knowing that crap's in my head, but I also it makes my heart speed up. You know, I can make myself cry. I can write stuff. I can sometimes I write and I'm just bawling like a little. I'm just wet face. I can't get this down. It's so awful. And sometimes I write and I create a scene where I start to sweat because my heart is going so hard. And if you can make everything that's going to happen. There are zero surprises. Not true. Not true. If you're writing really good, sometimes you will surprise the hell out of yourself. But you know where you're supposed to be going. You know all the characters, you know the possibilities, and if you can get yourself just thumping along and you're doing a good job.
I both hate and love how my own writing can affect me because there will be some days where you're writing that rough scene, your villain is doing that evil thing that makes him evil, um, And I've come out of sessions like that, and like I leave my cave, my office, and I re-enter into the world, and I talk to my wife, and she goes like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I had I was writing this section where this guy is doing this, and it's like it's just really bothering me that
I
he's
was spending time with Bob.
yeah." And we
It's
don't like Bob. Bob's a dick.
Bob's an asshole. Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, no, that's really good. And by the way, you are your first reader. So if you're holding up that mirror and showing the evil is in you,
oh
you're also typing it.
yeah,
You're putting it into the computer or onto the page, which means you're the first person that knows the evil that that guy is came from your soul. It's
man,
uncomfortable.
man, I'm learning a lot about myself in this episode. I was not ready. I need to call my therapist.
Well, I mean, writing is therapy. The best
Oh yeah.
therapy in the world is the page.
Oh yeah. Like it writing is therapy, and in the same way that a lot of I don't know if you play, but like I play a lot of D&D, and people use that for as therapy a lot because it is this like this group storytelling session.
So I will confess to you, D&D, video games, um, a lot of that kind of stuff are things that I put to the side. Not because I don't love them, but because they take the same energy and a lot of time. You know, if I get into a video game that has me going for 48 hours to go master levels, I'm not writing. I'm also not working or doing anything that keeps me alive, but you know, I'm sucked in. And if you go and do a if you do a D&D campaign that you run 6-hour sessions once a week and it's going to be 20 sessions to get to the end and every those are great social events. 100% love them. I just, you know, when I look at my available time between work and family and writing, I just don't have enough energy to do that, which is why I can turn out, you know, 10,000 words a week easy, but I can't go to a D&D game. And that's because I will get into the game. I'll memorize all the stuff that goes with it. I'm one of those people that has a hard time not sprawling, you know, just taking on more and more and more and more and learning stuff and getting interested. And so I have to focus my energy. That's also the reason I listen to audiobooks. Um, what I discovered as a writer is I can listen to other people tell their stories, and I can go to the movies and I can listen to audiobooks, and it doesn't affect my ability to tell a story at all. I just enjoy their story. There's something about the separation of the written word from the spoken word that allows me to be creative, to continue pumping it out. But if I, and every now and then it happens, you know, I'll pick up. I was a judge for the SPSFC last year, and one of the challenges I was is about half the books don't have audiobooks, and I had to read them. Well, when I was reading them, I wasn't writing at all. So I would have to set aside the time and just binge a book and crush through it because it was affecting my ability to write. So the confession there is there are things that can throw you off. And for me, reading games that are games that don't end in a session. You know, it's like a game that you get in, you play, and it's over in 5 minutes or 15 minutes or even an hour. You know, that you just block out that time, you use it. But anything that allows me to think about it, and like a video game, even if I only play it for an hour, I can think through all the moves and what's next and where I need to go for this and what does the map look like and try and memorize all the crap in the world. Those are those are beastly for writing. So for me,
No, 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 I agree. That's one of the things I've kind of noticed as I've gotten like more and more into this world is like I don't really play video games anymore. I every once in a while I'll make an exception for like something special. Like my favorite game of all time came out with a remake, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get it, and I'll set a day aside where I'm gonna play this for a day. But then I have to get back to the thing that I care about now because this I've decided that this is more important. That if I want to be this person that is a writer and puts out books, I need to be willing to be the person that sacrifices the time and the effort to do that.
Yeah,
And
we can
making
all only do so much.
yeah. Yeah,
Well,
there's
and you're a young guy. You're also at that point in your life generally. I don't know how young you are. You might be a beautiful 50,
I am
but
not.
I
But
don't think you are. Um, you're also at that point in your life where you're discovering everything is a sacrifice. You have to choose a path. You're far enough down the evolution that going back, you like right now you can't become a super spy. Or maybe you can't. Maybe that's the path you took. But I, at your age, at 30 years old, I'm not saying you're 30, but at 30 years old, I knew I was not going to be a supermodel. I was not going to be a super spy. I was not going to be a race car driver because I was too far from those paths. Could I throw away my marriage and throw away my job and go back to the beginning and start over with the 18-year-olds? Maybe, but probably not. And it would mean I was 10 years behind where I should be. So I was too far down the path. And like now I'm in my 50s and there are whole maps of discoveries and worlds and stuff I will never be or do. There are experiences I will never have because my path is too far from those paths. And what you're doing right now, as you discover you can't play all the video games and you can't do all the stuff because you are now you've said wife, so you're a husband.
yes, I am.
You have a job. I know that you have
I
to
do.
go to work
Yeah.
and you have to support yourself. Mom and dad aren't taking care of you anymore.
No.
And that gets back to the where we started 15 to 25, all potential. You have training, you have the body, you have the build, you've got the mind, but you have none of the responsibilities. Somebody else is paying for your insurance, somebody else is paying for your rent, somebody else is causing everything. So when you say it's a Tuesday, I can spend 12 hours on a video game, that's because you have no responsibilities.
Yep.
But at 27, it's a Tuesday, you better be at work,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, life is for the doers. You have to choose the path you're going to run and run it like you're going to win.
Man, I like that phrase. Life is for the doers. I've not heard that before. I like that.
Well, it's one I say a lot. I don't even think it's mine. You can give me credit for it, but I'm totally
I'll tag you.
stealing it. So,
Get a little TM, EL Montague. TM.
yeah, there you go. Life is for the doers.
Yeah.
Um, you may also see every now and then on X. It's not like a plan. It's just I say stuff like that all the time, and
Yeah.
you may see that I'll put up a slide because I have a slide deck where when I come up with something relevant, I'll put it in a little saying, and then it's right often. Practice your craft is always the tag on it, but then I'll put in stuff like life is for the doers. Get out there and do it. Stuff like that. So if you run into those, there's a bunch of them. I've put out maybe I don't know 40.
Oh man, I'll have to check those out. All right. We are again running towards the end of our episode. We normally only do these for about like 45 minutes. The last one, we ran over time because we just had so much to talk about. Oh my
Oh,
God.
if
I
you
might,
allowed it to happen, we could do this another 2 hours. I can keep going and going and going. I'm the Energizer Bunny
no, we'll definitely have to have you on again because
for sure.
this is phenomenal. I'm learning so much. And I hope everyone else is learning so much too because, like, man,
Well,
like I
I'm
said,
more than happy to talk. And so resilience is a choice.
yeah, that is a great way to end that. Oh, please. Edward, could you tell the people where can they find you? Where can they find your books?
You can find me on X, EL Montague. You can find me on Instagram, also EL Montague. You can find me on Goodreads, also EL Montague. I'm on X more than anywhere. And then you can find my books on Amazon. I'm one of those guys. You can get all 8 of the books that I've published myself and the other, I don't know, 8 or 10 anthologies that are still out there with me in them. And one of the things you get with me, so if you pick up my books and you like my particular flavor of not good people doing fun things, I'm prolific. I will put out at least a couple or 3 or 4 novellas a year. I'll put out at least a couple of novels. And if I get a wild hair, it might be more. So if you enjoy my brand of crazy, I guarantee it will be out there for you. And I do audiobooks for everything. So if you're an audiobook listener, there's a copy out there for you.
And guys, he does his own audiobooks. It's crazy. Sorry, that just still catches me off
I
guard.
don't know if you picked it up, but I'm a bit of a talker.
I kind of noticed. No, but that was perfect. Edward, thank you so much for coming onto the show for this week and last week. We're definitely gonna have to have you back on because, man, I
More
feel
than
like
happy.
so much to get
About the
into.
time you get to me, I'll have another book.
You know, probably true. All right, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, and remember, until next time, let's be author adjacent. Have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
Oh man, there's so many good parts of that.